It's Monday, the 24th of February, 2025. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories, 5 minutes, let's go. Story number 1's a big one. Reserve Bank Governor Michelle Bullock appeared before Parliament on Friday and warned that if there were too many rate cuts, inflation pressures could re-emerge, and that would undermine 3 years of hard work.
She said the board is cautious about the prospect of future rate cuts and the bank isn't committed to any particular course of action. The central bank is targeting an inflation rate of 2.5%. She was quite insistent on that. She also talked about services inflation. It's been out of control, really, but it's suddenly it is slowly starting to get back under control. We saw that at the end of last year. Ms. Bullock said Donald Trump's tariffs will be a negative for economic growth in Australia, but the effect on inflation is less clear. All the uncertainty surrounding the Trump administration's policies could, though, damage the global economy.
She also pointed to low-income renters being the cohort hardest hit by the effect of cost of living pressures during the past couple of years.
So they've been hit with big increases in rent plus inflation. She talked about that group often being forgotten. Ms. Bullock said the jobs figures out last week, which showed a big jump in full-time employment, underscores the need to be cautious on rates. She's also committed to keeping cash in the economy. Been a bit of debate about that one. What she also did for the first time, she conceded the central bank under her predecessor, Philip Lowe, was late to the party when it came to interest rate increases. She doesn't want to be late to the party when it comes to cuts.
On to story number 2 now, Sean, and Medicare will be a centrepiece of the upcoming election campaign, with Prime Minister Anthony Albanese promising to spend about $8.5 billion over 4 years to boost payments to doctors who don't charge out-of-pocket expenses for patients.
Bulk billing is back, Michael. At least that's what the ALP wants, assuming it's re-elected. The goal is to lift the rate of bulk billing doctor visits from about 78% today to 90% by 2030. Tony Abbott tried to wind back Medicare when he was Prime Minister. The coalition is seen as less friendly towards Medicare. So that's a problem for Peter Dutton, the opposition leader, given that there's an election in the next couple of months. Yesterday, he came out very quickly and matched Labor's bulk billing pledged. He also matched the ALP's $573 million pledge for a women's health package. He supported the government's $1.7 billion for public hospitals and threw in an extra $500 million to boost the number of psychology appointments that can be claimed under Medicare. The opposition is working very hard to not look like it's against universal healthcare.
On to story number 3. It was the first proper weekend of auctions this year, Sean, and it is absolutely incredible what an interest rate cut can do. The national preliminary clearance rate came in at 72.1%. That is the best since July last year.
And there are almost 3,000 auctions, so easily the busiest of this year. The preliminary clearance rate in Sydney was 74%, 72% in Melbourne. Adelaide and Canberra rates were pretty solid. Brisbane was a touch weak. That's 2 weeks of plus 70% clearance rates. Now, prior to that, we'd spent about 6 weeks saying, is the market soft? Well, when buyers get a hint of a rate cut and then they see the rate cut, they get a lot more excited and start buying.
Yeah, certainly do. Story number 4, Guzman y Gomez, which was the biggest float of 2024, has reported earnings higher than expectations for the 6 months to the end of December. But Sean, it didn't prevent a sell-off.
It didn't. Same-store sales were up 9%, in part due to the popularity of the $12 chicken meal. Higher breakfast turnover and more delivery orders also helping its 11 24/7 outlets. However, the group didn't provide forward guidance. Investors like forward guidance, and sales fell and losses widened at its 5 US stores. By the close, Guzman's share price was down 14%. Guzman's an expensive stock relative to something like Domino's. Much of the company's valuation depends on future growth, especially in the US. Investors are just getting a little bit concerned that the expansion plans in the US could falter. That prompted the selling pressure on Friday.
Last one, story number 5, and we've saved the most extraordinary story for last, Sean. Over the weekend, the Trump administration sent emails to US federal government employees, which is basically the equivalent of the Australian Public Service, telling them to detail their work accomplishments from the previous week or risk losing their jobs.
They came shortly after Elon Musk, the billionaire head of the Trump administration's Department of Government Efficiency, posted on the social media site X that not responding to the email request would be viewed as a resignation. according to Reuters. Musk issued his post just hours after President Donald Trump posted on his own social network, Truth Social, that Doge should get more aggressive in its attempts to downsize and reshape the 2.3 million strong federal workforce. It's unclear what legal basis Musk has to terminate federal workers if they fail to respond to his request, and what would happen to employees that can't detail confidential work, for example. Then there are other bureaus like the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. They receive the email. For 3 weeks, they've been told not to perform any tasks. Now they've got to list the tasks they've performed in the last week. Crazy, Michael.
Yeah, just a little bit. There we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It is Monday, the 24th of February, 2025. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed, wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.